Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Tania Kovats' Rivers. I'm Peter, and that's Nick. I'd like to begin by talking to you about a book that I read 5 years ago called The Sea Around Us by Rachel Carson. And I'd like to share some information that I think I remember from that book with you now. And it begins like this. Before the Earth existed, there were just gases moving randomly in space. And as some of these gases moved around, the particles in the gases began to collide. And as they collided, they formed little balls. Are there any scientists here? No? Good. Okay, so these little balls that are in space, little compounds of chemicals moving around in random order, and more collide, and this little mass of minerals gets bigger and bigger until eventually it's got enough of a mass and enough of a speed to be affected by the gravitational pull of the sun. As it's affected by the sun's pull, it begins to orbit around it, round and round and round, just like it does today. Now over time, these little balls of chemical compounds gather more and more dust, essentially, as they move in their orbit around the sun. And as they do so, they this rock that's forming begins to get more and more heated up by the power of the sun, until eventually some gases start to come off it and it starts to create an atmosphere, a bit like if you were to wrap cling film around your head and breathe. You'd kind of get some condensation, and that's exactly the kind of process that happened. It was as if this rock was breathing out gases, and condensation started to form in the atmosphere of this rock. And these got so big and so dark and so heavy until eventually they dropped upon the Earth. But the Earth was still so hot that it wouldn't let the water settle, so it constantly evaporated and precipitated until the Earth cooled down enough to let the water settle. And it did so in the big basins that now hold our seas today. So this rainwater is now sitting on the Earth, and a chemical reaction takes place where the water begins to erode the rock that it's sitting on, and minerals get deposited into the water. And as evolution progresses, as we would say today, these minerals that are floating around in the water begin to mutate and collide again, until eventually tiny aquatic plant life begins to form, and then larger plant life, until eventually tiny little animal cells begin to form out of these mutations in evolution, until eventually small aquatic animals, medium-sized aquatic animals, and then large aquatic animals are formed, until eventually that funny day that no one knows why, when the aquatic animals moved out onto the land. Now, I don't know when that was, but it was millions and millions of years ago, and approximately 3 million years ago, humans arrived. And now we quickly buzz through those 3 million years of human history, and we find ourselves here at Jupiter Artland and Tania Kovats' Rivers. Hi. 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 Nice to meet you.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Roy.
Inside this boathouse, there are 100 specimens from 100 rivers. For the next few moments, Peter and I are going to record the names of these rivers here. For those few moments you can go in and observe those rivers, or you can stay out here and watch us. When we've finished, we'll all leave together.
Listen
To the sound that is inside you. Listen to the sound that is inside you. Listen to the sound that is inside you. Listen to the sound that is inside you.
river Becker, the river Blackadder, the river Blackwater, the river Quiderog, the river Holy, the river Rydal, the river Torver, the river Udden, the river Umborne, the river Wid, the river Winford,